today I'm going to be filming my full coverage foundation routine for oily skin. This is going to be part one of 3 videos. So part one is going to be my actual foundation routine. I'm going to show you guys the technique that I use to do my foundation, my powder, my concealer, and my highlight. In part two, I will be talking about all the products I like to use for oily skin. I'll show you guys my favorite foundations, my favorite powders, and everything that I love to use and that really holds up well on oily skin. And in part 3, I will be showing you guys skincare for oily skin and just my personal experience in reversing my oilier skin type. So if you are interested in seeing my foundation routine for oily skin, then just keep watching. Alright, so the first step is normally using a primer. I personally do not use primers. When I started doing makeup, primers were not even out back then, so I never really used it. And I've never really felt the need to use it now either, because my foundation routine, the way that I put my makeup on, it really just stays, and I don't have an issue with my makeup coming off throughout the day or not lasting just because of the techniques I use. So primer is just something that I will use occasionally if I feel the need, if my skin's a little bit bumpy or I feel like I have pores or something that I need to fill in. And that I normally do like for events and stuff, such as weddings, parties, that type of thing. On a day-to-day basis, and even, you know, for going out and things like that, I do not use a primer. I go in straight with my foundation. Today the foundation I'm going to be using is this L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte Foundation, and I'm using it in the shade 106 Sun Beige. This foundation is really nice for oily skin types because it is a mattifying foundation. I really love it. Like I said, I'm gonna have a part 2 of this video talking about the products that I like to use, so I'll go more in depth on this foundation in that video. So the type of brushes that I like to use for my foundation are Kabuki brushes. My most favorite one, and the one that I reach for all the time, is the flat top Kabuki, and every company makes a version of this. e.l.f. has one, EcoTools has one. I mean, you do not have to go and purchase the most expensive one. This one is a Sigma one, but it really truly is worth the money. I love this foundation brush, but there are cheaper alternatives to this brush that you can find. And these are also Kabuki brushes from Sigma. This one is just angled and this one is just a rounded version. If my foundation brush is ever dirty, I'll lean to these and they work just as well. I'm just gonna go in with my favorite. I'm just gonna put some on the back of my hand. Now the technique that I use, like I said, is what makes my makeup last. So once I have the foundation on the brush, I will stamp the product onto my skin. So I stray away from beauty blenders just because you have to kind of wet them and then use that on your face. And I just feel like, you know, for oilier skin types, you're just trying to get away from moisture. So I like using brushes instead. And I feel like they provide more coverage. This technique really sets the makeup into your skin, and it's not just, you know, laying at the surface.
This stamping technique is also going to be key for full coverage. Even if you have dry skin and you're using a damp beauty blender or brush, if you're trying to get maximum coverage, avoid using buffing motions because that will just swirl the product around on your face. And with the stamping method, you're placing the product onto each area of your face, and that's where it's going to stay and set.
And with this technique, it's essentially going to do the same thing that a primer is doing with filling in pores and that type of thing. So, you know, you can skip out on the extra step. Basically, the foundation routine is super simple. With everything that you do, you're going to be using this stamping technique, and that's what's going to give you that lasting coverage. Don't forget to blend down your neck, around your hairline, and around your ears. For my concealer, I'm going to be using the Maybelline Better Skin Concealer. I just recently picked this up not too long ago. So I'm just going to place this on my under eyes.
I take my concealer low in this triangular shape so it blends into the foundation color smoother. And for someone who has dark circles like myself, it helps with not having such a harsh line underneath the eyes.
And the shade that I'm using is light medium. I love using my Sigma tapered Kabuki brush. This is the F86 to blend out my concealer. And same thing, I'm going to just tap this into my skin until it blends out. It's going to give you the most coverage, and it's going to blend beautifully. I do have oily skin, but under my eyes I am quite dry, so I always use an eye cream ahead of time before I start my makeup, just so I have a little moisture there and my under eyes don't crease. That is important, and if you are oily, you really don't want to use too much of a mattifying product under your eyes just because it will crease. Powder will take care of the oiliness. Be sure to put on your eye cream and use a good concealer. And last but not least, we have to set this makeup with some powder, because powder is an oily girl's best friend. Lately, I've been using this Milani powder foundation. I've been using it in the shade Natural Tan. It works really well. It does not make me oily at all throughout the day. Half of it's the powder and half of it is the technique that I use. So I'm using my Sigma large powder F30 brush. I got this one in the travel set, so I like that it's a little bit smaller, so it's really concentrated when I put the powder on my face. I'm just gonna dip into the powder and stamp it onto my skin. Again, it provides more coverage and it's going to last all day long. And I do go ahead and put like a good generous layer on. This is really gonna help the makeup last all night long, and even if you sweat or anything like that, you know, it won't affect your makeup. So I do use a different powder for under my eyes, which I kind of go back and forth with. There are days that I'll just use the same powder for under my eyes as well. My favorite powder for under my eyes is the Rimmel Stay Matte. It's just a really nice bright powder. I'm using the shade Nude Beige. Since it's a little bit lighter, it kind of highlights as well.
The trick to having your under eyes not crease is to put the same amount of powder on as you did the liquid concealer. Obviously, it's not something you can measure, but just knowing a good ratio between the two will really help with creasing.
This is how I do my foundation. It's very quick, it's very easy. Once you get the hang of it, you'll be doing it within 5 minutes, sometimes even less. There are days that you can tweak this, you know, for everyday use, but this is pretty much gonna be full coverage and it won't budge. So I'm gonna finish the rest of my face and I will be right back. So as I was finishing up the rest of my face, I figured I would talk a little bit about highlighting, since really girls do tend to stray away from highlighters. It is okay to use a highlighter if you're oily. It's just the placement of the product that will essentially make you look oily or not. So I use my Bare Minerals bronzer called the High Dive. I've already placed it, so I'll just kind of show you with my brush. I'm using a smaller brush and I'm using the same one that I used to set my under eyes. So I only place my highlight on the very tops of my cheekbone, and I'll stop in the middle of my eye where the arch of my eyebrow is. I don't want it to get too much in the center of my face towards my T-zone, because that's normally where I get oily. So I try to keep it just up here and very high. There are days where, you know, I really want to highlight my Cupid's bow, but I will only keep it at that tops of my cheekbones and my Cupid's bow, and I will not put it anywhere else. So throughout this whole routine, the stamping method is going to be the one that you use for everything, from your foundation to your concealer to your powder. That is what's going to give you the most coverage, and it's going to make your makeup last all night long. You can probably even go to sleep and wake up looking the same way. It's just how great this technique works. I've been using it for so long now that it's natural to me when I'm doing my makeup. I don't even go towards the buffing motion and that type of thing anymore. It really does just help with oilier skin. So this was my full coverage foundation routine and a little bit of the tips and tricks that I use. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos, and I will see you guys in part 2 of this video.